Hello, today we visit r/AskReddit to ask what was ruined by rich people. Make sure to comment if I missed something down below. With that, sit back and enjoy. Every single piece of water with accessible waterfronts. Hawaii Constitution makes any place with sand touching the ocean to be publicly accessible. Definitely appreciate them for that one. Similar here in Oregon, all beaches are publicly accessible. When I was young, my mother was very poor, but she carefully saved up enough to take me to Oregon so I could see the ocean. Not exactly an exciting trip for a kid, but it did form a core memory and I'm thankful for it. We stood on the beach and looked out at the ocean, with those big rocks jutting up out of it. Cold and overcast, water stretching out to the horizon. It was beautiful and sad and vast. Chicago did it right. Every single inch of waterfront in the entire city is public land, with a biking or walking trail spanning the whole thing as well as plenty of nice beaches. Housing. Used to be the only people buying houses were those that were intending to live in them. Now you have rich people looking into investing in real estate, and guess what? Rich houses are poor investments. So many rich people are buying up all the affordable housing, driving up the price and creating scarcity. I cry every time I look at Zillow. Same. No way I am paying $250,000 for an outdated home that most likely needs work. Where the heck are the $250K houses? Looks like the options are Houghton, Louisiana or the tundras of Canada. Right. Pack your bags, honey. $250,000. I'd love to find anything that cheap on the West Coast. Edit. It sounds like the majority of you live on the West Coast, which I did at one point in my life as well. I live in rural Pennsylvania now and it seems like the East Coast turned into Cali after I arrived. $4 a gallon for regular gas, rent for a 2-bedroom apartment approaching $1,000, and old houses upwards of $250,000. It used to be $2.40 per gallon, $800 per month, and homes were going for $170,000. Investment funds should not be allowed to invest in housing. Building new houses? Sure, why not? But never ever already built properties. But it's this and many more things wrong with the market. But it gotta start somewhere. So many things, but I'll say trucks. Once upon a time, a humble working class vehicle for people who need to be able to do things themselves. Now they're all luxury vehicles with massive margins, unaffordable to anyone who needs them to do real work. And they're all ducking humongous now. I was so excited that Ford was bringing back the Ranger until I found out it's as big as the F-150 was a decade ago. Give me a compact pickup that isn't 20 years old and rusted to shit. My understanding is that, in America, large vehicles getting larger as, at least in part, a consequence of a particular aspect of the EPA emissions regulation, that larger vehicles can have a worse emissions rating, so they make trucks bigger so the bar is lower. Everest. Hey man, our gods live up there and Sagarmatha is a holy site of pilgrimage for Buddhists. I'm a climate and die. Don't forget all the shits they took on it before dying. The middle class. They absolutely bodied the middle class. I wonder if I'll ever get to live the 20s that people always recommend where you get to travel and do the shit you want to do. LMAO, I wonder if I'll ever own my own place or if I'll be stuck at home for most my life. I'm in my 40s and my boomer-aged mom said to me last night, "This is the time of your life, for you should be smooth sailing and enjoying life, doing everything you ever wanted." I'm over here, I'm going, what the duck did I do to make my life so shitty? Old school ski mountains with family vibes and stoner lifties rocking to music. We always watched those silly Ski Patrol movies about the big corporations coming in and making them yuppieval, and then it happened. New people bought the local mountain and they were desperately trying to find guys to work there. Lots of people were interested until they found out there was a mandatory drug test. Imagine drug testing your ski bums in a legal state. Something tells me that policy is gone next year. I work at a local hill that was bought by a large corporation a little over a year ago. At their introductory meeting for all employees, they said, while there is a drug test, marijuana is not a disqualifier. Sounds like a lesson they learned the hard way. Colorado. Why is everyone saying Colorado? Can someone explain this for the international crowd? Colorado, born and raised here. Forever priced out of my hometown. Me and all my friends have moved, just can't afford to live there anymore. Mostly expensive due to housing. Also, skiing used to be affordable, now it's not. Long story short. Colorado is like the Apple logo now. Slap it on something and it's suddenly worth 10 times the price it should be. It's ducked. My $500 a month apartment is almost up to $1,500 a month because Colorado. It started in the fancy ski towns with million-dollar houses and entire workforce for the town having to be bussed in every morning because they can't afford to live in the town they work. And it's bleed itself down to the slums and valley towns. So if I can't afford to live in the bottom of the food chain, where are you supposed to go next? Thrifting. Thrifting is cool when it's rich people donating and poor people buying. For sure. Garage sales in rich neighborhoods are something else. Trickle-down economics would have worked if we as a society just had more garage sales. Yes, it has gotten to the point in my city where I stopped thrifting altogether. I can go to a store and buy a piece of clothing brand new for only $5 to $10 more than thrift stores. I stopped thrifting when I went to the thrift store and they had a $300 price tag on the most disgusting stained busted couch I've ever seen in a store. Everything was just so overpriced that there wasn't a point anymore. Why is pork shoulder and oxtail so expensive? It literally used to be the parts nobody wanted. You can thank the Food Network and Food Documentarian for that. Once people started learning how to cook them, they went nuts. Add in beef bones too. It used to be almost free. Now it's renamed beef marrow bones and cost almost as much as chicken breasts. Even chicken thighs used to be so cheap. Then the no-fat craze ended and suddenly. Brisket in the 70s, butcher, just take it. Brisket today, fill out this application and our credit department will get back with you. Cries in Texan. Edited to add. Chuck roast can be smoked exactly like brisket and it has very similar fat profiles. If you're into that kind of thing, chuck is a solid cheaper alternative that also smokes faster. It started with short ribs, then went to oxtails and pork belly. Things that can taste amazing but also take 3 to 4 times the amount of time to slow cook before it's edible. Take a look at black cod. They started calling it sablefish and the entire world went nuts. Yep. Trash fish, that used to be thrown away as fishing byproduct, now gets a fancy new name and fetches nice prices. Chilean sea bass is another. I stopped going to professional sports because I can only afford shitty seats. Not worth the effort anymore. For a fun day out with you and a friend at an NFL game will run you around $500. Or you could watch it on your big screen TV at home, which has better play-by-play and angles than being at the game where you end up watching half of it on a monitor anyway. Unless I get tickets for free, I don't even bother going to sporting events anymore. There used to be a really nice big park in the center of the city where I live. Everyone would go there, it was a nice open space, take your kids, take your dogs, enjoy the fresh air. Then some people from the rich part of town along the edges of the park decided they didn't like the noise coming from the park and pulled some bullshit to buy it out and walled it off so you couldn't go to the park unless you lived in that specific neighborhood anymore. The worst part is a ton of money was spent when they first bought it building it up, adding fountains and children's play areas and redoing the flower beds, and then no money or attention was given to it again and the whole place fell into disrepair, so now even if you live in the neighborhood you can't go there because everything is falling apart and overgrown. So the assholes took the really nice park from everyone else and then neglected it until it became a shithole in the middle of the city. Some of the country's best racetracks have dealt with this similar thing. Track gets built out in the boonies, boonies get bought and rich folk move in, complain about track noise, sometimes gets the track shut down. Personally, I believe some sort of, it was here first, regarding things like parks and racetracks should exist to stop this from happening. Happens with live music at pubs. Dickholes move in, complain about the noise, the live music gets shut down, the pub gets boring because nothing ever happens, then everyone, including the dickholes, complain there is never anything to do and bands never tour anywhere nearby. Happens with gun clubs too. One near me was opened in 1926 in a very isolated part of the boonies. Now the people that built houses on Gun Club Road are complaining about the noise of the gun club. Cheap and simple dishes. Ramen, tacos, sushi. Now everything's gotta be labeled premium only to taste the exact same, if not worse. I love that taco trucks charge somewhere between $1 to $20 for tacos. Went to a taco food truck. They put like 100 ingredients on one taco and charge $20. I would rather go to the Mexican place down the street and get a plate of 4 tacos for $10. I went out with some business folks for food in San Diego and they were like, "Hey, what do you want to eat?" My response was, "I'd love to get some tacos from a place where the kid needs to act as the translator at the register because Abuelo doesn't speak a lick of English and she's on the till." They laughed and we went to a place where it was like $12 for a single gourmet taco. I was being serious. Any hobby where there's potential profit. Now you've got dickheads like the Logan Paul ruining Pokemon cards. Not because they're into them because they like Pokemon but because they read the stories about the rare cards and just hammered their endless piles of cash into getting everything. Same with those asshole sheikhs with massive comic book collections. They don't give a duck about comics. They just collect popular valuable stuff. As a side note to this, career scalper and resellers. The fact that you can't just wait for the release day of something and remember to buy it at some point that day or week. All because some asshole is going to grab 800 copies of them for their eBay storefront, where they already have the stuff up for pre-order at 8 times the original MSRP, is infuriating. As an example, to follow your Pokemon One, they had limited edition Pokemon sleeves. Sold a pack of 80 for like, $8? They were on eBay 3 days later, $8 for a single sleeve. $640 if they sold every sleeve at that price. All off a single $8 purchase that they hoarded dozens of actual fans of the franchise out of. Absolutely disgusting. 80s and 90s cars. The market is super hot right now and all the rich guys are buying them up. Sorta like 50s and 60s cars in the 90s. This seems to be the norm once cars reach around 25 to 30 years old. People that grew up with these cars are now in their 40s and can afford to pay for them. Edit. Okay, obviously the car has to be desirable or somewhat rare for this to hold true. Can't just buy an early 2000s Corolla and expect it to be worth big in 20 years. Unless it's a Toyota Corolla, Matrix, XRS. These cars are hidden gems and might be worth something in the future, trust. Theme parks. Gone are the days when everyone was equal and you all had to queue, regardless of your income. And even until recently some theme parks gave fast passes periodically throughout the day. Now if you've got deep pockets you can queue jump, making your day a little better and everyone else's a little worse. I haven't been to Disney since 2015 when they still had the free fast passes. My mum went earlier this year and I couldn't believe it when she told me how bad the system is now. Plus everything theme park related post-pandemic has been so crowded you can't even move. I wonder if it will ever be the same as before, probably not though. Sailboats. Used to be you could on a working man's salary get a decent day sailing boat that you could go out with for the day with enough cabin space and amenities to live aboard for a long weekend, maybe a week. Like the McGregor 26. But nobody makes mere sailboats anymore, they make yachts. Expensive, over-designed yachts. You can still pick up an old Catalina for $5,000 or less but if you want something made in the last 20 years it's crazy expensive. The problem is most boat owners never leave the dock. A boat is just another status symbol that you get to show off to your poorer friends. There are guys like myself that like cheap boats that you can wrench on and then sail the shit out of them but they are few and far between. Most boats are simply floating patios where you serve domestic cheese and bad wine. Bourbon. It used to be the most expensive bourbon you could find was like $100. Now, with everyone collecting, the prices have skyrocketed. The secondary market is completely insane. I remember a couple of years ago you could walk in a Bevmo and just pick up a bottle of Blanton's Walk Home, make your mint julep and it's all good. Nowadays, it's like Blanton's as some Shangri-La of bourbon. Ducking John Wick. The easy answer, everything. The harder answer, interclass solidarity and quality of life. They've worked so hard to separate the have-nots into their own little groups. We're too busy fighting each other instead of taking the fight, politically speaking, to the rich and the 1%. You have more in common with your fellow man than you ever will with a Bill Gates or Elon Musk. With that, thank you for watching all the way until the end and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if I missed anything down below. If you want to continue to watch my content, click one of the videos above. Until next time.